power in Italy, and the Nazi Party was beginning its rise to power in Germany. When Hitler became Chancellor in 1933, musical works written by communists like Bertolt Brecht, Jews like Kurt Weill and many Broadway composers, and African Americans, the creators of blues and jazz, were banned in the Third Reich, labelled as degenerate music. So how did classical composers respond to the Nazis' cultural policies? Some were lucky enough to escape. Few who stayed put challenged the regime. The nearest thing classical music had to a true dissident in the 1930s was the Hungarian modernist Bela Bartok, who forbade all performances or broadcasts of his music in the Third Reich and fascist Italy, a gesture which impoverished him, and who actually asked for his name to be added to a Nazi list of so-called degenerate musicians intended for public ridicule and ignominy. To continue having their music performed, composers who remained in Germany had to stay on the right side of the regime, even if they didn't always actively support it. For the now elderly composer Richard Strauss, the most prestigious cultural figure in the Third Reich, his struggle seemed to be confined to how to handle the Nazi bigwigs so that they'd leave him alone. This was clearly more important to him than tackling them, for example, on the disgusting racial policies. In his own field alone, Jewish musicians had been ejected from orchestras, universities and conservatoires, and the music of Jewish composers, alive or dead, had been prohibited. One composer who had no qualms about working uncritically with the Nazi regime wrote what has become a much-loved staple of the classical repertoire. Carmina Burana had its tumultuously successful premiere in the Third Reich in 1937. Orff accepted the Nazi government's request to replace the Jewish Mendelssohn's incidental music to A Midsummer Night's Dream. He appeared powerless to intervene on behalf of a close friend who was tortured and executed by the regime, and he lied to the Americans after the war about having been involved in the resistance, which he was not. The reverse side